What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another installment of the Chelsea Hour Show. Ladies and gents, I'm excited for this one. We got a great guest for you, but you guys already know. And you guys already did it beforehand, by the way, so big up to y'all who did that. Smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. You already know how it is. You already know how to support. Ladies and gents, I'm really excited to have a discussion with our guest today. We're going to be talking Chelsea. You already know. We're talking Premier League. We're talking everything to do with football. It is the international break, and we're still here at, Casually FC providing the content. But my man here is part of the Lateness is Greatness clan, very much like myself. Believe in the lateness is greatness. And hey, sometimes it just happens, life gets in the way. He also lives in the same state that I do, so he knows how busy it gets. I looked outside, it's smoky. There's a fire going on. There's drama going on here, man. The streets need Chelsea. But you guys already know how I roll. I like to speak with people who have good heads on their shoulders, and I've heard a lot of his content, and he's always pretty rational and yeah, I think I'm really looking forward to this discussion with him. He also finally has a good mic. So big up, man, finally got that good mic. He got ball busted for that for a while. You guys have seen him on Playback. You've seen him on Carefree Lewis, and you've also seen him on All You Can Eat Chelsea. Ladies and gents, without further ado, give a round of applause for the homie, Final Whistle Podcast, Javon. And like Javon. How are you, my friend? Welcome to the channel. Thanks for coming on, man.
I'm okay. Thanks for having me here, man.
Of course.
I find it nice to be on. I like it over here. I like the background music.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we try to keep it casual here. That's the name of the channel. Sometimes I have casual takes, but I mean, sometimes I just like to keep it casual. But my man, finally nice to speak to you. I've seen the content. I'm a fan. I like the things that you say, and I was always down and interested in getting a conversation going with you. And listen, man, we're both Chelsea fans. We both went through the trenches. We struggled in the recent years. We've grown up with Roman and trophies and championships and all types and sorts. And, it's been rough the past 2 years. You're very well aware, just like a lot of Chelsea fans. You're well aware of how our fans are, very, very reactionary, very emotional. But, people like you are out there keeping the fort down and, trying to be sensible about things and trying to be reasonable. That being said, so far, 10, 11 games in. I think it's 11 games, right? We're 11 games in.
I think that was our 11th game against Arsenal. I'm not mistaken.
11 games in my opinion, it looks like things are turning in the right direction finally, which is great because God only knows what was going on the past 2 years. But speak to me, my man. How are you feeling about Chelsea so far this season?
Compared to last, let me first start out by saying this. Going into every season, I am always hopeful that we can get the top level Chelsea. I'm always hopeful. I'm always positive. I never go into a season overly negative. Even with the whole Poch, even with Poch last season, I expected more from what we garnered out of that season. But to directly answer your question, I'm very happy of how we started the season and how it's going so far. Simply because where we've been and some of the things that I kind of listed out what I wanted to see coming from Maresca when he came through the door, which was clear style of play, stick to your truth and your guns, if you know what I mean by that. Don't get too swayed by anything else.
I mean, we know Poch did that last season.
Exactly. Stick to your principles, because at the end of the day, we can say, you know what, any reasonable Chelsea fan can say, you know what, this is his way, this is what he wanted to do. It may have worked, it may have not. Those are some of the things that I said that I would like for our next manager to have. Just the cojones to say, you know what, this is how I'm gonna run my team, and he did, and he's doing that. And obviously, doesn't take a rocket science. If you do that and it's actually working, you're going to start picking up results, right? And for me, it's been a great start to the season.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that caught my eye to you, right? I'm a big fan of Matisse's content. I do watch All You Can Eat Chelsea. And, you know, I think it was on playback, funny enough, that I heard when we had the short list and things were being announced and we heard that Maresca was going to be the manager. Obviously, the fan base went on a riot. Actually, out of curiosity, before I even go into this question, who did you want prior to Maresca? Like, realistically, I mean, I say realistically because I could sit here and say I wanted Tuchel, I wanted Hansi Flick, so on and so forth. But when I was thinking realistically, I was thinking Ruben Amorim. I was curious, like, who did you want as the next manager to take over from Poch?
3, realistically, Hansi Flick, because he was free at the time. I want Ruben Amorim because of this, who we had in the squad at the time, kind of set up for a back 3, and we've seen what a back 3 could have done for us in the past. Didn't really want Nagelsmann. I wanted Luis Enrique. I know he's had a roughy, patchy start at PSG, but at the time, for what Luis Enrique did at Barcelona, gotten them won a treble there, so I kind of wanted that, you know.
Yeah, no, and I get that. I think after Graham Potter, I was saying Luis Enrique was one of my favorites to get the job. And I mean, I'm not gonna say hindsight's 2020 because honestly, I don't know if it's PSG or him that's causing, you know, the trouble that's going on with his season so far. But I do think there's a good manager there. Ruben Amorim, obviously, we know is a good manager. Hansi Flick, you see what he's doing at Barcelona, turning it around. Really, like, it's impressive to see what he's doing over there. Rafinha is like, he's being relevant again. Like, he's resurrected his career. And he went from Leeds to everyone looking at him, goes to Barcelona, disappears for 2 years, and then now this season, like, I think he's the top goal scorer of La Liga, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he's killing it this season. But I digress, right? Like, going back to what I was saying in terms of when I was watching the content, when the shortlist was announced and when we found out Enzo Maresca was going to be the manager, you're one of the few people that, you know, was kind of saying, like, let's calm down, let's be patient, let's see what's happened. Let's see what these guys are cooking. And that caught my eye because I know as a Chelsea fan, it's hard. It's hard to be patient because we're just so used to winning and winning and winning. And mind you, I think most Chelsea fans, when this whole takeover happened, we expected a little bit of a dip. We didn't expect 12th place.
We didn't expect to take a plunge. Just a dip.
Yeah, we took a plunge, like a proper cold plunge. It was cold out in the streets.
Yeah,
like
right on here.
Yeah, the top end of the table, they got the heating and everything, nice luxury, you know, warmth. It was cold down. Road to 40 points. Let's not talk about it.
No, bro, we're knocking. It's Christmas and we're knocking at the window, looking inside, seeing everybody happy as hell, and we're the ostracized family member. We're just out there.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it felt like. We're like, I remember when I used to be a big six. It was rough.
They had Matisse relegated to the mid table.
Yeah, they started whole mid six, bro. It was rough. It was rough. I mean, it's still rough for some people. And listen, it is still early doors. Banter aside, even though I doubt we're going to go that low again, it is still early doors. You never know what could happen with the season. But let me ask you this. Maresca's in. You've been impressed with everything that's happening. I've been impressed with everything that's happening. But I guess where I want to take this conversation is where we are right now, right? We're in recent form. And I kind of labeled the video this because I feel like this is kind of relevant to a lot of things going on right now at the club, which is the big topic of discussion is we're 11 games in, we face City, we faced United, we faced Arsenal, we faced Liverpool. Am I forgetting a Big Six side?
Newcastle.
Okay, Newcastle, as well.
You mean traditional Big Six? No.
Yeah, traditional Big Six. We've yet to face Tottenham, right? But
Spurs.
We had 4. Yeah, Spurs, right? Mm-hmm. We've had 4 of those games, and Maresca wasn't able to get a victory in any of them. You look at the recent 4 games, Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, United. We drop out of the Carabao Cup, unfortunately. Or we crash out, I should say. We didn't really drop out. We crashed out of the Carabao Cup.
Yeah, can I say? I kind of want to say we kind of gave that up based on what I see he could have made, some of the changes he could have made, and that starting 11. I'm going to say we gave that up. I'm not gonna lie.
I hope that's the case. I hope there's a plan, but we crashed out of the Carabao Cup. We pick up 5 out of a potential 12 points in the last 4 games, the tough run of games that we had in November, pretty much. How do you feel about that? I mean, mind you, the positive is we are in 3rd, which is nice to see. But I think if you ask most Chelsea fans, at least myself, I was hoping for at least 7 points out of 12. We end up with 5. Recent form, I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
All right, so let me preface this by saying when I spoke about those games, it was those games in the moment and what I saw that could have been changed.
Yeah.
It is very important to distinguish between broad picture and a narrow view. That narrow view is going to be, let's take a narrow view first. Those 5 games. As a fellow Chelsea fan, don't you believe that we kind of shot ourselves in the foot for those 5 games?
Yeah.
Compared to last season where we were just hopelessly outclassed. I'm talking Liverpool, that 4-1 defeat. Talking that 5-0 defeat to Arsenal in the past. Right? So, with that being said, compared to this season, the gap was here. No, the gap is. And for the United game, you know, if anyone watches my content, I was on smoke that week for that United.
I think we all were.
I hate Manchester United without passion, bro.
Hey, big up. Me too.
I'll repeat this because I spoke to Flawless. Not their content creators, but the club when it comes out to my team. That being said, there wasn't a gap in quality. There was, and that's where the narrow view comes into play. So when there's not a gap in quality, I tend to look at what cost us the game. What cost us the game was the finer margins. And if you go back to my match reviews, my match analysis, and my match analysis, and if you go back to the discussions I've had on All You Can Eat Chelsea, and the discussions I've had on Playback, and the discussions I've had anywhere, it's all about us and what we've done. So what do I mean by that? The Manchester United game. No one can tell me that we didn't come down and play at their level. From what we've seen, how we started the season,
100%.
Everyone and their dog can excuse the Manchester City game. It's the first game of the season. Maresca did not solidify his starting 11 as of yet. So some of the things that I saw in that game was screaming out to me, you need natural wingers in this team if you're going to play like that. And against Manchester City, even then you can't even say the gap in quality was that huge. You understand?
No, it was a good match. It's just I don't think we were ready. Like obviously the players were still learning the system.
Exactly, and all of that gets. If you had to group that, wouldn't you put that under final margins?
Yeah,
exactly. So we look at the City game. If we fast forward, to the next Big Six team we played, which was Liverpool. Remember, up until that Big Six, we beat people that Liverpool didn't. Well, we drew against Forest. Forest beat Liverpool. Right? How we played against Forest, it was again on us not taking our chances. We beat 100%. The door down, battered the door down. Cool. Bournemouth. How much? I think almost all the Big Six sides lost to Bournemouth this season.
Yeah, they're a tough side, but we were able to hold down the fort miraculously with our defense. Robert Sanchez had a good game the less I speak of him. We had a good game. He had a good game that day. I'll give him his kudos. And we were able to hold down the fort enough for Nkunku to come in and score a goal.
Exactly.
But everyone else's fort was coming down. There were doors wide open, just
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we picked up the points there, and I'm telling you, last season we dropped points there. Right?
Yeah, for sure. Not even a debate.
It's not even a debate. All right. So coming into that Liverpool game, I'm buzzing. I'm on these panel shows for the first time, so I'm buzzing, seeing what's supposed to come. I'm back in Chelsea because you know what? They gave me something to hang on to. the positive start to the season. And in that Liverpool game, I'm like, this is a good game, you know, because the way the game started, and I'm remembering vividly, we had the upper hand. Liverpool set off us at Anfield. So how can that not give you some form of, you know, positivity? The 2 goals go down. We got a goal down. We scored back. And just when you think we could build some momentum to maybe scrape away with a win, and then people like me could be shameless. Not even a couple seconds later, Salah scored. Salah creates that beautiful assist. And then when you're looking at that goal, we're saying, why didn't anyone trap the runner? Find a margin. Why didn't Robert Sanchez come out and rush him? Final margin. So I'm saying all these final margins because I'm going to get to the bigger picture to answer your ultimate question. The bigger question. We go to Newcastle. We beat Newcastle, right? We go to Manchester United, which this is the game that kind of set for red flag, because this was a not even not lose. This was a battery. This should have been a battery. A beat.
Everyone was saying 4-1. I was saying 4-1 with chest.
Yeah, bro. I was everywhere. Matisse did a madness. Right? Miz did not want to hear it. I was all over, bro. I was everywhere with chest.
Yeah.
We come to that game, and then one of the biggest controversial subs, or more, for lack of a better word, it's not really it was controversial because people were saying, would he drop Enzo or not? Everyone said it was just for Liverpool. Enzo would come right back in. Enzo was dropped for LAVIA.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. But it was in that game and the back end of that game that I realized something. Yes, while Enzo is a deficiency, is a liability deficiency-wise, he gives us something. His progressive play and speed of the progressive play is very important to how we attack. And I didn't realize that until I saw how slow and lethargic we were with LAVIA and the ball.
Yeah, you know, Javon, I'm actually really happy you mentioned that, because you're one of the few people that even brought that up when people were talking about the United review. And that was one thing that while I was watching the game, I don't do watch-alongs, but I do I watch the game with the people in my community on Discord, which big up. If you haven't joined the Discord, join the Discord. And also check out Javon's content. It's in the description. All the stuff is in the description. But people can attest that I was saying constantly over and over, like, yo, we are too slow. I'm seeing Nicholas Jackson make the runs. I'm seeing Noni make runs. I'm seeing Neto or whoever make runs.
On the side, by himself, doing this. Yeah. Asking for the ball. I'm sorry, Cariana. Yeah. I'm getting
No, you're right. It's just like, it was frustrating to see. And I think it was even more frustrating because in the second half, like, you could tell one of the biggest culprits was LAVIA. Now, I'm not trying to sit here and say like LAVIA is not good enough for Chelsea. Obviously, he's good. And obviously in preseason, we saw he has that through ball in him.
Stick up in right there. You see that point? If this was a PowerPoint presentation, I would circle and underline an exclamation mark at that point. If this was the LAVIA from preseason, this wouldn't even be a conversation right now.
100%.
Continue.
No, I'm just saying, like, you're 100% right. Like, he was doing these passes, which I didn't know he could do, by the way. When we saw him preseason, I was like, oh crap, he actually has these passes. Like, we might not need Enzo now to be that person. But you're right. And listen, as a player, at least as of last season, Enzo was my favorite player. Enzo Fernandez. I defended him staunchly. And people in the chat can tell you I defended this guy till the end of the days, right? The end of the earth. But this season, I am having very hard time defending him because, like you said, defensively, bro, this guy is tackling like Conor Gallagher. Like, it is insane. He's just running into players, crashing into them, hoping for the best, and then you leaving Caicedo by himself. It's like, bro, where'd you go? You didn't even get the ball. You're on the floor. You didn't even get the ball. But once he comes in, you start noticing all of a sudden, I mean, look at the Arsenal game. He was the one that found Neto running into the space, passes him the ball, and then we get the tiebreaker. And I'm going to get to that, but let's peel it back a little. Go for it. Yeah, go for it. Let's
peel it back a little. I'm obviously I'm talking to Don and Gooney, and I'm talking to Tease, and I'm saying, yo, no one is wrong, quote unquote, wrong with what they say about Enzo.
Yeah.
But then again, you have to underline what he brings to the team, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know who Robert is, but shout out to Robert.
Oh, we know Robert. Yeah.
Robert will always say he's single-handedly the most important player in this Chelsea team. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
He does have a point though, right?
Mm.
When he's talking about the importance that Enzo brings to this team. And if you have a football nose and football knowledge, you'll see what you pick sense out of nonsense, as Jamaicans would like to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying all of this not to say that Enzo should start. I'm just saying there's something there to be fixed if we want to get back to goal scoring levels. So 100%. we see what happened in the Manchester United game.
Yeah.
It slows everything down. It's not like he's the only one that slows everything down. Everyone's lethargic. There's one moment, and that's playing into Manchester United hands. There's one moment that stands out to me, and I wish I could pull it up every time I talk to someone about this game. Reece James goes over, picks up the ball from, I think, Neto at the time.
Yeah.
And is back there just dwelling around. I'm like, what are you doing? Who's the focal point? Who's the next pass? You should know this. So, because what you do when you pick up the ball, you should know your next pass to transition forward.
100%.
If he doesn't do that, Garnacho nicks the ball off him and run the back foot. And I'm like, that sent my head over the moon. When I watched it back, guess who was on the touchline in acres of space? Mikhail Mudryk.
Yeah.
Just ping it to him. You have, and it's Reece James. You have the quality to ping it to him.
Yeah.
Fast forward to the Arsenal game, we saw what unfolded. The goal that we conceded started off with Lavia dwelling on the ball too much. Dilly-dally.
Yeah.
And remember, Lavia is always in that first phase. If you're in that first phase, what are you doing? You're doing this. You're checking your shoulders. You see two people coming. Why are you not fizzing the ball back into your defense? Because you have defenders back there, and they have time and space to get the ball out again, or fizzing it into your forward who's probably already making a run. And I check back again, who was making the run. So I'm not gonna go over the goal, but when Enzo came on, the biggest difference is he was the focal point for that next pass. So if, let's say, Enzo was on the pitch at that time, when Reece James was dwelling on the ball, he's the focal point for the passes. So everything gets filtered through Enzo when he's on the pitch. And my solution to this is, I just need the version of Lavia we saw in preseason, because at the end of the day, Enzo's defensive liabilities are still a hamper.
100%.
For us to be okay with him in the starting 11, all of his passes would have to come off, and then we'd have to score a goal from when he makes those, line breaking passes and those passes over the top.
100%, because that's the other thing too. If we had a proper good defense, which, mind you, I don't think Wesley Fofana, Levi Colwell, well, Gusto this season's shaky, right? But I don't think our center back pairing is for our A team, if you want to call it that, is necessarily bad. I think if you look at Fofana, it's coming back into the game, getting the match sharpness. I think against United, he had a brilliant game. Levi Colwell
had a good game.
I'm sorry, Arsenal. Yeah. Not United. Everyone had a bad game against United. But you look at Levi Colwell this season. I think he stepped up tremendously as well. But it doesn't help, especially early in the season when Enzo was playing every game. It doesn't help when your midfield can't protect you from the opposition constantly making chances and barging at the defense and knocking on the door. Eventually, you're gonna make a mistake.
And when you look behind you, you have that erratic goalkeeper in goal that can't even pass the ball accurately 90% of the time.
I can't believe I even defended that guy a little bit. I used to say, dude, he's not as bad as Kepa. He's not as bad as Kepa. Last week after the Arsenal review, we were like, okay, he's as bad as Kepa. It's bad. It's hard out there with him right now. Yeah. But coming back to Enzo, right? I think there are two instances where we see Enzo could be beneficial. When you look at the United game, I think the big part of that was slow in the midfield and those quick transition past that. I forget who said this and pointed it out to me, but Enzo's really the only one in our team that can do that 1-2 boom quick transition play into the attack, right? And we've seen him. He does the quick diagonal, and all of a sudden,
think about the pass, bro.
Doesn't even think about it.
Doesn't come off, the pass is still getting played because you never know what can happen.
Yeah, and he's one of the few that can do that in the team. Obviously, I know there's players like Cole Palmer that can do it, but can he do it as consistent? We don't know. We're yet to see that. Reese, we know he has that kind of pass in him, but he's still coming back into the game after pretty much 2 seasons where he wasn't playing consistently. But Enzo's one of the few that can do it, and that was a big issue in the United game. I remember so many times watching that United game, and I'm thinking, okay, we're at the counterattack. Okay, United just got their shape back. Like, we gave them time to reset their shape every time. And the way they're set up, they were very compact that game. They were trying to defend and play us on the counterattack. It was obvious. They let us have the ball, so on and so forth. But every time we had the ball, we gave them time to reset the shape. And then you go into the Arsenal game. The second thing that was missing that game was decision making. The decision making in that game was horrendous. And Cole Palmer was a big liability for us in that game in terms of decision making too. So that made me realize, like, okay, Cole Palmer's
pass to Jackson.
Exactly. You were thinking the same thing I was thinking. That pass, you pass it to Neto when Jackson was wide open. And listen, Jackson nowadays, a one-on-one, I trust him a lot more than last season to be able to put that away.
All right, here's the thing. If you put Jackson in that position, let the scrutiny be on Jackson. Don't leave it for a what if you get where I'm coming from. Because the trajectory Jackson is on this season, 8 times out of 10, 7 times out of 10, maybe even 9 times out of 10, he's going to score that. You brought up a brilliant point. Here's a knock-on effect of not having Enzo in the team.
Yeah.
And I'm not defending Enzo. This is just me looking at it logically and not having that attribute in the team currently, right? And please remember, people, LAVIA can give us this attribute, but he needs to use it, right? Yeah. Not having Enzo in the team cause a knock-on effect with Palmer in the 10 position, because Palmer tends to drop deep to play those line-breaking passes. If Enzo's in the team and he sits beside Caicedo or LAVIA, Enzo's further up the pitch. Not Enzo, sorry. Palmer's further up the pitch. If Palmer's further up the pitch, his vision is a bit, his vision is way clearer. Yeah. His vision, we've seen what Cole Palmer can do, so I'm not even going to defend this point. I'm just saying, I'd rather have Palmer further up the pitch than when he drops deep. And Enzo, if Enzo's in the team, you see that more.
Yeah, that's actually a really brilliant point that you bring up, because I think these last 2 games, and mind you, I'm willing to accept that maybe against Arsenal, Palmer, he got that knock from Lissandro. Lissandro should have been sent off for that, by the way.
Yeah, it should have been a red.
It should have been a red. But he got that knock, didn't train for 2 days, last minute comes in, trains for the game, and then we see him on the pitch the next day. So I'm willing to accept that, okay, he had an off day, hasn't been training, he's been recovering, fine. But regardless, I think, and again, I'm not saying, and I should emphasize this. I'm not saying that Enzo needs to start. Just like you're saying the same thing. You're not saying Enzo needs to start. But what I'm pointing out, and what I think Javon's pointing out too, is that there are certain things that Enzo brings to the game and to this team that we're missing, that is depriving the attack a bit. And you can tell from the last 2 matches that, Palmer, for example, dropping deeper than he usually does. When Enzo's on the pitch, he's usually not dropping that deep. So it's on Maresca now to figure out a solution. And I do think LAVIA is the one that can do that. Yeah, I'm worried that, do you think maybe it's a tactical thing? Or do you think just LAVIA needs to find his rhythm again? I
think LAVIA needs to find his rhythm again.
Okay.
The thing is, right, when with the system and the way how Maresca likes to play, he likes to get his fullbacks and his wingers. He likes to get his wingers isolated with the opposition's fullback and then likes a striker to drop deep and link up.
Mhm.
That all stems from the root core of that is your speed of play. That cannot happen if your speed of play is not at a certain level. So unless Maresca is going to keep the same starting level, which again I'm not opposed to LAVIA starting. It's just a knock-on effect. It's glaring obvious to see. And with the attackers that we have, we need the speed and the transition to be very fast. Right? We don't have world-class wingers and we don't have a world-class striker where it doesn't matter the speed of play. They're going to show up. What has been giving these boys the advantage is the speed of play in the final third. You understand? So the solution to answer your question, it's either two things. Enzo needs to get better defensively, or LAVIA needs to show us the form from preseason.
But that's the thing too, because like I remember Enzo was never this bad defensively. He was okay. He was never like, you know, he was
that Jorginho
the opposite
upgrade.
of Jorginho. Exactly.
He was that Jorginho upgrade.
Yep, he was Jorginho upgrade because everyone wanted Jorginho to be more attacking. He was too defensive, too passive, possession, all this.
It was frail. You could easily body him off the ball. And at the time we were getting Enzo, we were like, oh, South American, Argentinian, he got that dog in him, you know.
Yeah. He's got the dog.
we expected him to be a bit more rough, and to see what we're seeing from him defensively. Yes, he had a hernia. If you've ever played with a groin strain or a hernia, you know how bad that is.
Yeah, hurts like a hell.
But he hasn't really came in and give us the Enzo that we saw from early last season. Because remember that first game against Liverpool where him and Caicedo ran that midfield the first game against Liverpool last season where we drew. If we could get that Enzo back, then I'm taking that midfield pivot only because of how Maresca likes to play. There is an option there to have all three of them, but then where do you play Palmer?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you, right? And I was actually going to show you this because I noticed this when we were going over the United game and I was kind of going over the goals and the plays. I noticed that Palmer actually dropped down to the midfield in this game. When Enzo Fernandez came on, you had Palmer to the left of the midfield, Enzo in the middle, and Caicedo to the right. So we formed a midfield three, which is why in the second half we saw Palmer on the left so much. It was because of this. What's up?
I was going to say go back a few clips because I wanted to make a point, but sorry. Go ahead.
Go for it.
No. Finish what you're saying.
Okay. So I was going to say that what I was going to ask you, how do you feel about, how likely do you feel it's going to happen too, about potentially Maresca setting up Enzo, Caicedo, and LAVIA in the midfield three and potentially shifting Palmer to the right like he was last season?
If we do that, it's going to cause another knock-on effect because no, you cannot have an inverted fullback. You have to have that overlapping fullback. Because remember, Palmer is not a touchline winger. He's a winger, but he's a winger that likes to combine, likes to go inside. He very rarely goes on the outside because he doesn't necessarily have that level of pace or to go on the out. He's just not a touchline winger. You see how creative this man is. He's not a touchline winger. You understand? So you would need that Gusto overlap. And then now you have Reece James. What do you do with Reece James? He's not necessarily up to speed to do the overlapping thing again because then you may get injured again.
100%.
Right? So that's another knock. And plus we have wingers now. It's not like when we had to use our fullbacks as slash wingers. We have Neto, Noni, Misha, Sancho. Felix can play out there. And Nkunku can play out there if needs be. You get where I'm coming from? So that's why and Palmer himself has that killer through pass, line breaking pass. What if you name it, he can do it. Right?
Yeah.
So that's why for me, I don't necessarily want to move Palmer from the central position. Maybe a shift in formation. I don't know. it's a very difficult decision to make, and
It's a headache for Maresca.
Yeah, I couldn't have these discussions last season because last season before Poch did anything, I could figure out how to break the position and not Pochettino.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
No, these are where you get into the upper echelons of why they're coaches and why they get paid the big bucks.
I am not a clown.
I had to.
Bro, but think about it. As fans, when we're stumped, this is where the manager comes out. Oh, yes, this is what we do. You know? But yeah, playing all three together, I don't have a problem. I just really like my personals. I like to see how Chelsea plays when they have natural wingers on the pitch.
Yeah, and I see your point with the whole inversion, because, yeah, at that point then, he would probably need to change the whole way, the system, how he plays. And it's not as simple as, yeah, just put him in there. And because Maresca did try all three at one point. But the City game, yeah, exactly. But in that game, it was Enzo Fernandez as a 10. And mind you, I think Enzo did everything fine up until the final third, which was either bad touch or a horrible shot. But the way he was finding himself in really good spaces, attacking wise, he was doing all the right things. But Jesus, man, the man couldn't have a touch to save his life. It was a rough game for him. But he did try, and it's just I don't see him, especially after what you just said. I just don't see him swaying away from his system. And playing all three in their rightful position would probably require him to sway away from that. Did you want me to go backwards a bit? You wanted to show us something on this?
Yeah, but one final point, right?
Of course.
If we take a step back and let's say he does switch a system, you do realize that Cucurella won't be the best version of Cucurella. He goes to a flat back four with overlapping fullbacks.
Yeah.
I'm not sure of a job that Renato Vega could do as an overlapping fullback or a fullback, because I've only seen him inverted. But then that's too much changes when you're trying to implement your baseline of style of play this early on in the season. You know?
Yeah.
You wanted to show us a point, and then you can go to your point first, and then go back to mine.
No. You go first.
All right, so go back a few clicks, like 10 seconds prior to Enzo picking up the ball.
So it was Neto here, right?
All right, go back one more click.
See if I can.
Right there.
Okay.
All right. Play it. You see here, you can keep on going.
Okay.
See here, Neto doesn't see all the options that Neto has.
Yeah.
Why does he find Enzo first? Just logically think about it. A player of Neto's quality. Ping to Misha. Right?
Yeah.
1-2 with Palmer and make the run. Come back this way because there's space. Jackson drops deep, plays it off to Jackson. But look.
If I had to take a gander, right? If I had to take a guess, probably because he sees this space and he wants to take up this space.
Exactly. And I'm going to get to that. Hit play.
That's smart. Yeah.
So that if he goes, Enzo checks in for him, right? Pause it right there. Enzo immediately sees the play. He doesn't even because Enzo's on the ball now, right? And I play in midfield. So as a midfielder, you got a million things going on. Enzo's on the ball. Enzo could come back to Caicedo to then lay it off in his path. Enzo could do the safe option, lay it off to Palmer and then move around. But what Enzo does, Enzo holds the ball. Feed play.
Gotcha.
Right. Cool. He's assessing more of his options. He's wondering. Right here, he's saying, "Is that Fofana? What are you doing up there?" Anyways, what are you doing up there, bro? So
Fofana was all over the pitch.
I love Fofana. That was the best game I've seen you play.
Yeah. He was fantastic.
That guy was everywhere. So at this point, he's assessing his options, right?
Yes.
Pivot play. Neto realizes it and makes the run.
Neto already sees the run, yeah. Mind you, Partey, Declan Rice are right here. This is where they're supposed to be here. But Arsenal fans, personally Arsenal fans wanted to put the blame on Havertz for not pressing, but at the same time, I think he's covering ground because Partey or Declan are supposed to be there, and he's supposed to be pressing, waiting for the run because they're playing counterattack. But I'll continue.
So Enzo plays the ball right there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking if LAVIA is in that position, he's taking a few extra touches, and then that pass either gets delayed or that pass doesn't get played. And the type of pass that gets played, it puts it in his path, not to him. And that's the biggest difference there. If the pass gets played in his path, it's right there on video. He barely takes he just takes a touch. It's already there, and then he takes a shot. And having that being played that way, it prevents less touches for him, prevents the defenders from coming out and closing down the angle, and he scores. And again, I am not picking up for Enzo. All I'm saying is I want this from LAVIA.
Yeah, no, exactly. Because that's the thing, right? We just discussed this earlier. We know LAVIA could do it, but he just hasn't done it. And I'm hoping it's just because he's coming back to, match sharpness. He's been out for a few weeks. He was in the preseason, and then just, we're being cautious with him with the injuries and all that. And the same thing with Reece, right? Like, that's why Reece has been out of the side. Even against Arsenal, I was really surprised that Reece didn't play.
I didn't in my starting lineup.
Yeah, I did too. I thought, listen, I know maybe he can't do the inverting role. That's fine. But at least, he did the good thing about playing Cucurella. And Cucurella, absolutely brilliant, man of the match. I'm very happy he started because he shouldn't have been dropped to begin with. But he can do the inverting role, and then you just have Reece play RCB, tuck in and out, whatever. You don't have to have him make all the runs. But Maresca decided to stick with Malo Gusto. Malo Gusto was a little better this game than United, but again, this season, not necessarily been good enough. But what I wanted to bring up was in terms of the system, and we were just talking about Cole Palmer, right, on the right. Earlier in the season, Maresca said, if they don't accept my ideas or accept the way I want to play, right, my style, then they don't play, which I feel like it's a double-edged sword, right? Because in my head, I'm thinking, okay, I'm glad that you're being, stern in your ways, and unlike Poch, you have a spine, right? That's fantastic. That's great. But at the same time, what if there are games where you Palmer has not been working out in the 10? Let's put him in the right wing. We know, me and you both discussed, we know that Palmer is not a touchline winger. He benefits more on that right side when he has freedom. I'm going to bring Noni Madueke into this, right? Because that's your boy.
What?
But
you know what? Yes. Bro, why do I get tagged for this? Like, he's my favorite. When Noni Madueke is taking on people, when he's beating people, when he's creating shots, when he's doing all of this, is it wrong to say he's exciting to watch? You see yourself,
he's
bro.
good. He's good. When he's good, he's good. When he's good, he's good. And I was saying last season, he's easily our best dribbler in the team. Easily. But when you look at that Maresca quote, right? I'm thinking, okay, on one end, cool, you have conviction. But on the other end, I feel like it's kind of bottlenecking the potential of some of our players. Obviously, you need to have organization. You need to have tactics. You can't just have every player doing whatever they want. Otherwise, we're back to Poch,
Yeah, only Palmer. Literally only Palmer.
Yeah, so, I get that. But do you think that maybe that's... Well, Palmer in the 10 role, he does have a free roam role. We've seen it. We know he has a freedom to roam. Do you think maybe that could potentially be inhibiting Noni as well this season?
See, when it comes on to Noni, it's not necessarily him, the system inhibiting him. I think it's more so Pels. I think it's more so on Noni himself.
Okay. How so?
One of my big last season, one of the reasons I was defending Noni is people were bringing up all of these outrageous stats. And I'm like, what? This man literally only got regular playing time at the back end of last season. He came off the bench here and there. And the minute when he did come off the bench, he saved Poch. So excuse me if I'm seeing this. Okay, maybe he could be a player if he got some game time. Now he's getting the game time, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say it's two things. I don't, because we've going over the quote that you said. Maresca also followed up that quote when he said, when he was kind of defending why Noni starts. Remember in that press conference, he said Noni starts because of the workhorse, because of the work rate, and he likes a winger like Noni because because he gets back defensively and whatever.
Yeah, which he's been brilliant this season at doing, by the way. I have to point that out. He's been good defensively. Yeah,
he has been good defensively. Mm-hmm. But I don't watch the game to see what defensive duties that my wingers though. I watch the game for you to roast your fullback so I can laugh at
100%.
You know, you know. So, with that being said, I think it's I can't really defend it, bro. It's on Noni. You've been given the game time, right?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call a buck. If you've been given this game time and you see everybody downing tools is the wrong term, and you see everybody not playing to standard, at what point do you say, okay, I want to be one of the guys in this team? Let me put the team on my shoulder and rise. Because that's what I want. That's what I expect from my wingers. Look at Pedro Neto against United. He was the only one trying to take on people. I'm seeing acres of space, and I know if you take on Diego Dallo, you're roasting him. No, there's not a fullback that Manchester United has currently that can pocket you if you're on your A game or if you decide to take on your man. So when I'm seeing him refuse to take on his man, I can't defend that, bro. Mm-hmm. Like if you understand where I'm coming from. So 100%. So to answer your question, it's not a systematic issue. I think it's mostly a Noni. However, the only thing I would say, because this even happened to Pedro in the United game, if the speed of play isn't quick enough, it doesn't give our wingers that extra half step, because they already have space. If they already have pace, if you can give them that extra half step to kind of isolate their fullback, go one-on-one. You know what that does? That gives the opposition to put 2 and 3 people on you. Right? We saw against Newcastle, they tried to triple team Noni. He still got by. It was horrible, but
I mean, against Liverpool, like that was a big issue, right? Like we saw, like that. First of all, that was a brilliant tactical game from both managers. Yeah. I think Arne Slot, like you got to give him respect. He's in first place for a reason because the guy is really smart. He identified that Maresca uses his wings to attack as much as possible. So every time they didn't have the ball, doubled up on the wingers on each side. So that took a lot of work rate from that team. And then he knew that in the middle you had Cole Palmer. So he put Curtis Jones on Cole Palmer to just nullify our attack completely. But, you know, that being said, with Noni, and I think Alexis said this perfectly, because I did speak with Alexis a month ago on Chelsea. And one thing he says that I agree with, at least based on the evidence I've seen, I feel like Noni truly does believe he's the best player in the team. And that I think he always plays his best when he feels like he has something to prove. Mm-hmm. And it's tough because obviously last game, walking down the tunnel, not staying there to support the team,
correct your information. He came back 5 to 10 minutes later. So,
did he?
Yes. And the new information is he went
Those
down
brown
the
envelopes got me, bro.
Yeah. New information, it came out. Because even I said, if you go back and watch a breakdown, I said that's unacceptable. But even I have to hold smoke because I have to say, you know what? If he's back on the bench, that simply means he went to got something. It's a non-story. It's not like he came off. It's not like he railed up with the manager. It's not like we've seen players come off and started to fight the seat. Like the seat can't fight back, bro. Why you wailing on the seat?
What the seat do to you, bro?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not of that standard. But you see, in the Chelsea base, they make it a whole thing. And that's kind of why I defend him. Like, if you're going to criticize his on-pitch performance like we're both doing right now, because none of us are defending what we saw recently from him on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's fine. But when you start to attack it and try to make it a whole story, I've seen people say, oh, he shouldn't play for this club. He shouldn't even be a squad player. He shouldn't. This and I'm like, bro, you're taking it.
He's got a lot of haters. A lot of people do not like Noni for whatever reason. And I think it's because they think he's... Listen, I'm going to clear this up. João Felix, based on what I'm seeing right now, João Felix is what people think Noni is. Just wants the ball at feet, wants to watch the game, kind of like hero ball, like just kind of like I don't want to say like a cocky attitude, but like the work rate's not there. But I mean, if you look at this season, this guy's working hard. You see him at right back positions defending with everyone else. Yep. Whereas João Felix in recent games that we've seen him, he's kind of just waiting for the ball. I don't see him do much off the ball work. Like,
bro, and even if you were supposed to pull up that highlight you had up, our starting position, the left winger is higher, Jackson's higher, Palmer's higher, and Noni's literally at the halfway line, ready to get back half the time. You understand? So again, for me, my criticism for Noni is what you give going forward. You're a winger, bro. Like, I don't see where the selfish, and even if he's selfish, I want my wingers to be selfish. Like, I want you to take the shot if the shot is on. I want you to forcefully get by your man and then lay the pass off at the right time. You know, there's a lot of people I've seen say things, and I'm like, bro, you're the way you approach me or the way you're talking about it shows me you never watch the game. You watch Twitter instead of watching the game.
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a lot of people that don't assess, because I'll be honest with you, and maybe you're in the same boat as me. Maresca this season has opened my eyes to the fact that, like, and the biggest wake up call for this was during the press conference when they asked him, why don't you play Nkunku with Jackson and all this and that? And I'm like, and he goes, because if I play Nkunku and I play Jackson, who is going to defend? And I was like, oh my God, that is such a great point. Because if you're going to play the possession-based game that you're playing right now, I think one aspect that's overlooked is defensive ability, especially from the attackers. That's why Jackson starts, right? That's why Jackson is keeping Nkunku on the bench. Because when Jackson's on the pitch, you see him run.
He starts.
You see him. Yeah, he starts presses. You see him maintain, keep the ball, keep possession. You see him defend, make tackles. Last season, we saw how. One of the things that impressed me about Jackson last season is how good he was at dispossessing the opponent high up the pitch, which is something I hadn't seen from a striker since like Drogba. Is the one I can think of off the top of my head, right? Nani's also doing that too on his side. Cole Palmer, we saw, has done that multiple times. And right now on the left, we have to see it. I think Jaden's done it a few times, but Neto we know can do it, right? So for me, it's like, yes, that's important. That's why Nani's in the team, because he's also defending well. But I think right now,
honestly, I'm dropping Noni, but I know it's hard. I know it's kind of harsh to say I'm dropping Noni, given who we have next, and he could very well turn up against Leicester. But at some point, having said all of I said, at some point, if you're not putting up the performances to warrant you staying on the pitch, I can't. There's nothing.
Maresca literally came out and said he's there because he needs to get me goals, right? Like. He wants him to get him goals, and he hasn't been. And what was his last? What was it? He got it against Nottingham Forest. Thank you. Yeah, Forest was the last time he got a goal. So I get it, and honestly, at this point, Neto's been very impressive. He has been one of the bright sparks in these last 4 games that we played. That right now, on merit, he should be playing. Because Jadon Sancho also, I don't think, ever did anything to deserve getting dropped.
3 assists.
I want to see. 3 assists. He's been cooking. Obviously, Liverpool was a tough match. Both our wings, were struggling in that game. But I want to see Jadon Sancho on the left, and I want to see
Neto on the right.
right.
I want to see that too. Because here's the thing. People say I defend Noni, but at the end of the day, bro, it's Chelsea above all else, right?
Yeah, of course.
So for me, I'm starting Neto. And hopefully this triggers something for people like Noni, people like Misha, you know.
Yeah.
To people like, well, I don't know where Felix is going to play, but I hope it triggers something into them to say, okay, I need to get to the next level if I want to get back into the starting 11.
We're kind of seeing that with Mudryk, right? This season, where he's listen, it's nothing like, oh my God, right? Like, it's not like outstanding, but it's respectable to see how much he's actually improved this season. From the constant game time and from the motivation to, okay, if I want to get to the first team, I have to step up. And he's been okay. Like, I'm not gonna say he's great. We got to keep him now. Like, no, but
the trajectory
there's something there.
The trajectory he's on is saying that eventually he'll be knocking on the door to start. Let's see.
I hope so.
There.
Yeah, because the trajectory was here, and then it was here, and now it's like, hey, we're finally going up. Yeah. Like the roller coaster finally started.
Yeah.
Let's just hope it keeps going up and doesn't go down.
Yeah, and the best thing is, apart from his pace, he has a really nice cross on him. So he's overall he's a good creator. So I really want the best from Mykhailo Mudryk. I want to see him rise.
Yeah, and I hope with the way Maresca is treating the team, it does, you know, keep going in this direction, and eventually we can actually have discussions where, like, okay, without an argument, Mudryk has to start eventually, hopefully, but that will come in time. I think one player that I want to bring up before we end the show is we didn't mention this. I think it needs to be brought up because he's the talk of international break right now, and apparently he's the talk of the United board, and that's Christopher Nkunku. Now, I like Nkunku. I like Nkunku a lot. However, I understand why he's not playing in the Premier League.
I don't.
And how? Really?
Bro, see, these are why the managers get paid the big bucks. You have two players that could be I think Nkunku could be one of the best players at Chelsea. Find a way to play him.
I mean, remember last season? Javon, remember last season? He was our savior. He was the one that was going to come and save Pochettino's season. Comes back, scores against Wolves, and then gets injured again. So it's just like, you know, he came and went. The savior was here for a very short time. If you blinked, you missed him.
showed up and bye.
He's like, oh, this is fucked. I'm out.
He's like, oh, it's not the terrorism that Poch came with. I'm like, you know what? I'm injured. My back.
That's
Mauricio, I can't.
That's exactly what happened. That was the dialogue. But I mean, my perspective, right? My perspective is that against, because people are going to say, oh, he's our top goal scorer and all this and that, and that's great and all, but if 2-3 years ago, when I was arguing with fans that Mason Mount is not good enough for the club, and they brought up their GNA, if back then I'm going to be consistent and say, okay, you say GNA, but he had a hat trick against Norwich, 2 goals against Sheffield, like all these bottom flat track bully teams, right? And then I even kept it consistent with Tammy Abraham when he was at the team, saying like, okay, he scored a lot of goals for us in his first season, but look at where those goals are coming from, right? There's context to it. If I'm looking at Nkunku, I'm also adding context to it, because a hat trick against Boro, cool, that's what you're supposed to do. 2 goals against Panathinaikos, cool, that's what you're supposed to do. That's already half your goals. And against Noah, against Newcastle, horrible game. I think that may have been his worst game of the season, right? In the Carabao Cup. Against Noah, very, very jammy first goal and then a penalty. Meanwhile, João Felix, after the Newcastle game, it looked like he stepped up a bit and he got like proper goals. Now, I'm not here to be a critic of how you get your goals, but at the same time, if you're at this level of a player going up against this level of a team, I expect you to be very convincing in those games. And he wasn't.
I can flip that on you. Who saved us against Bournemouth?
That was Nkunku,
last season
yes.
at Liverpool when we got battered. Who came on and showed some form of quality in a no structured, no nonsense side, right?
That was Nkunku.
I'm saying that to say, cool. You can criticize how he gets the goal, but those are the competition he gets game time in. See where I'm coming from?
I understand.
So,
but
go ahead.
No. I'm just saying, like, in terms of Nkunku in the game time in the Premier League, when I think the biggest thing, right? The biggest issue with why he isn't getting game time is Jackson. And I think it's because, like I was saying before, Jackson is doing a lot of the off the ball work that I think Nkunku, I don't know if it's ego, I don't know if it's work rate, I don't know if he's trying to protect himself from injury because we know he's slightly injury prone. I just think that Maresca, in order for you to play in his system, and it's no coincidence that when Nkunku was brought up, he brought up like who's going to defend, right? I think Nkunku can press, but only if it's close enough to him. He won't run the hard miles. I think that's why he's being left out of the team. Now, there will come a time, and mind you, Javon, I think Nkunku is a better 10 than he is a striker.
I was just about to bring that up in the sense that you're classifying him as a striker and I don't.
He unfortunately has to get... First of all, I think... so many things are going through my mind right now because I just made a video about the whole KDH transfer, and
tell him, bin that man. No,
Javon, if you deep it, selling Gallagher may have fucked up everything, because as a result of selling Gallagher, mind you, I wanted him gone, right? As a result of selling Gallagher, we missed out on Samu and got João Felix, and we got KDH, who hasn't been performing. João Felix is in the way of Nkunku being in a 10 position, according to Maresca, because the backup 10 to Palmer is João Felix, and the backup striker to Jackson is Nkunku.
Oh, we would have the backup 10 to Palmer would be Nkunku. Because here's the thing, right? You say all of that, but I could also flip it. When Nkunku was playing in preseason, he played as a second 10 or an attacking 8, right? And we had 2 8 in that in preseason. And you could create a system, the same exact system with Nkunku beside Palmer, but the way you utilize your inverted fullback, instead of having them run around like how Gusto runs around, you utilize it as to what an inverted fullback is supposed to be, which is an extra CDM, essentially. Yeah. So you could have Caicedo sit beside the inverted fullback, and then you have Nkunku, Palmer going forward, and then if you want to have the wingers and the attacker, that's another way you could utilize it. You get where I'm coming from? So if I just genuinely believe if you have that level of quality of player in your team, give him a run of games, play him in his best position, and try to see what you could get out of him. Because if Nkunku's firing as what we know as the levels we know he can get to, why aren't we comfortably top 4, top 3?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, but that's the thing too, right? It's tough because this is, again, another Maresca headache. When Jackson is doing as well as he is, and Palmer has been so pivotal to how you do, the only place I can see Nkunku fitting in, which I don't mind, by the way, I thought he was actually decent in Man City when he played in this position, is probably the left wing. But even then, you have Jadon Sancho in that position or a Neto in that position. So, I mean, I like Nkunku, like I said. And even in the striker position, I think he's good enough to get goals. We see he has quality finishing. He can be clinical. But in recent games, it's not been there. And now we're seeing, I don't know if it's form, I don't know if it's attitude because he's not.
Frustration.
I was gonna say
it's frustration.
Yeah, I mean,
perfect. There's so much point, so little time. Remember that game?
Yeah, go for it.
The last game against Noah. You do realize that there was kind of a slight for tat between him and Joao Felix when they were about to take the penalty. Felix asked for the penalty to get his hat trick, and then Nkunku said, "No, I'm the penalty taker." Remember, to the entirety of that game, Nkunku didn't have the best game because he was playing kind of frustrated, trying too hard, not laying off the pass, and not making the runs, and that's because he's trying to get into this first team, and he's saying to himself at this point, "What else I gotta do to get into this first team?" And everybody else is scoring. So I genuinely think it's frustration.
I get the frustration, right? Because he's getting petty minutes. Like, that's one of the criticism I have of Maresca. Bro, what do you expect Nkunku to do with 8 minutes left in the game?
5 minutes left in the game. Like, bro, come on, bro.
This is dumb. Like, what are we doing here? Like, give him more play time and we'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm not saying play him over Jackson, but at least give him 15, 20 minutes to do something.
Bro, if it's a 70th minute and nothing's working thus far, hook Jackson. Because here's the thing. It's not like we don't have quality on the bench. You're bringing on quality. Give the quality time to quality, if that makes sense.
I think you brought this up previously in another show. I think it's trust. I think it's a trust issue. I think much like how when Mo Salah gets taken off, when Jurgen Klopp always took off Mo Salah, we're like, why would you do that? Mo Salah is the type of player that in the 90th minutes in stoppage time, he can score you a goal. He can win you the game. I think Maresca feels that way about Jackson and about Cole Palmer.
Because I wanted him to hook Palmer when Palmer late
against United
and against Arsenal.
And Arsenal, yeah.
Palmer's being clearly marked out the game. 70th minute, 75th minute, just bring on Nkunku. And boy, to this day, I'll be out there waiting for him to bring him on.
Listen, I hope it happens because at the end of the day, like, listen, if Nkunku is to leave, I wouldn't be mad at him about it. I get where he's coming from.
Yeah.
But at this, I mean, if I was in this position where I'm getting petty minutes, because that's the one thing that, like, if you were getting plenty of minutes, like to prove yourself on the pitch, 20 minutes, 15 minutes at a time, and you don't do anything, then in that case, I'm like, okay,
that's kind of on you.
That's different. That's kind of on you, exactly. But 5 minutes, like, if I was in Nkunku, I'd be frustrated too. So I get, like, no hard feelings if you were to leave. I get it, but I don't want you to leave because I know how good of a player you could be.
And I don't want you to go to United.
Oh God, please don't go to United. Please,
can you imagine
please.
him in the Amarin system playing as an inside 10, his natural position? This man would cook, bro. Oh.
No, I don't. No. Javon, I don't want to think about that. I don't want to be sad, bro. I don't want to be. We don't. That's not. Right there, bro. Oh, no, thank you. But
him and Diallo would cook. Oh Lord, please don't let it happen.
I do want to ask one more, and ladies and gents, listen. It's Chelsea hour, but sometimes it's Chelsea hour plus overtime. Okay, stoppage time. Extra time. Final whistle. Final whistle hasn't rung yet. Okay. Yeah. Shout out Final Whistle Podcast. But okay, we're in third place, Javon. I personally want to wait until the end of December to see where we're at, but we're not in a bad position. Where right now, where do you feel this team could end? Do you still feel like this is just a top 4 season and that's it? Or do you think there's a sneaky potential for a title charge there? I'm sorry to put the Don question on you, bro.
No, genuine. Listen, I will entertain this argument from anyone in the Chelsea fan base, especially at the end of December, January. But my 100%. Hardcore 110% expectation is top 4. I don't want to put excessive pressure on the manager because, again, when we zoom out of the narrow view and look at the wide view, first season, new bunch of players, gotta get the players still some. I want to say all of the players are still trying to learn exactly how he wants his system to be played.
Yeah.
Leaky goalie. Still building a partnership in defense, which really good defenses take years to build. With all of that put on Maresca's plate, and plus you have to fine tune some of the intangibles for a title winning team. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm just not going to be one of those fans that's going to put that level of pressure on you. The pressure I'm going to put on you is top 4.
And we must.
We've seen what you can do thus far against the teams we were losing against last season. We've seen the level of quality. So it's not like it's the first game of the season and I'm like, I'm this hard on you. No, you sold me a dream. Bring the dream home. Top 4.
Yeah. And you know what? You mentioned that. It was actually so frustrating that last season we were only 5 points away from being top 4. Because, like, I think all of us that were watching the games knew the potential this team had. Like, it was a good team. It was a good team. The results were not reflective of the talent on the pitch.
Exactly.
And so this season, for me, I was just so... I was just through the moon that we finally get to see tactics in the system and Maresca getting the best out of these players, and now we're getting results where last season we were dropping them. Yep. At least now going into, we're going to Leicester City after international break, Tottenham, then we have Aston Villa. Yeah. I think it's Aston Villa first and then Tottenham. I don't know. Yeah. But point being is that like now I can go into those games a little bit more confident, seeing that, okay, we're at least more consistent. We can get Leicester. I don't have to worry about Leicester, beating us. So
we have a style of play.
Yeah, we have a style of play. And yeah, there'll be a blip here and there, but regardless, like that happens. Like Nottingham Forest beating Liverpool. It happens. But to answer my own question, I still feel this is just simply a title race. I feel that...
You mean top 4?
Top 4. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. The slip. Freudian slip.
In his heart, he wants to say title.
I want to. I do.
He wants to say title. Pull the mask off. It's done under there. Done. What are you doing here?
I do want to say a title race because it's been so long, right? But at the same time, Ken Durant said it perfectly. With this goalkeeper, man, I can't. There's no way with this goalkeeper.
If we do it with this goalkeeper, I am shameless for the next 10 years. Shitting on this league, bro.
I'll crash it on Liverpool. I'll crash it on City. Guardiola's a fraud. I'll just be shameless.
I would just be shameless, bro.
Yeah, there's no way. And we also have to depend on Liverpool, who've looked so good this season so far, dropping off. So I just think right now it has to be just a top 4 race.
New manager bounce, they're going to fall off. I'm saying
We'll see. Time will tell. Please, but time will tell with Liverpool. Time will tell with Chelsea. Obviously, we're going into a much easier run of fixtures. Things could change. We need to see at the end of December.
That's a very big. I know we gotta go, but that's one of the key points. That's why I said the narrow view and broader view. We're probably gonna have another show. That's why I said look at the broader view. This block was our difficult block for the first half of the season.
100%.
What happens now if we go on a run? What are we looking at then? So, and of course, the pendulum could swing the other way. God forbid it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't. Yeah.
Right. The pendulum could swing the other way. Mm-hmm. The pendulum could swing the other way, but you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not trying to say tackle box. I'm just saying comfortably we could finish top 4. We could be comfortable by January if results go our way and if 100%. We can do business, if we can do the job ourselves.
Yeah. No. 100%. I mean, these other teams have tough fixtures coming up. We have now easier fixtures. And then from there, hopefully we can widen that gap between, because right now it's scary. We could lose a game and all of a sudden we're in 8th place. So it is a little scary, the table, but let's take it a game at a time. Let's reassess in December. Javon, I'd love to have you back then and we'll talk again, but
right now.
But my man, thank you for coming on. I guess shout out all your content, whatever you want to say. Let the people know, man, where to find you.
Big up. Thanks for having me, bro.
Of course, man. It's a pleasure.
Follow me.
Mind you, me and Javon have never spoken before, so this is our first time ever speaking. So it's been a fantastic conversation. Go ahead, Javon.
Yeah. You can follow me on the Final podcast. It's our off week. We All You Can Eat Chelsea should be dropping this week. You can catch me there, and I should be releasing a one-on-one by Sunday. It's an international break. It's slow. I'm probably gonna have you on the channel. as
Yeah,
well
sure.
as
I'm always down.
there.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Unfortunately, I have to support USA. Unfortunately, because I got
Brazil.
I got stuck with- yeah. No, it's not even because it's USA. It's because it's Poch. I can't escape, man. I can't escape. Poch.
You one of those people? See?
Yeah, unfortunately, I can't escape. I can't escape Poch. So it is what it is. I told my buddy I'd do it for him. That's it. I'm not doing it for the USA.
Yeah, but big up, bro. And just like, share, subscribe, people. When we are back from the international break, tons of content coming your way. Match reviews, match analysis, match previews. And to catch me on the breakdown as well. And if we get one of these big scalps, we'll be shameless.
I hope so, man. I really do hope so. Big up, Javon. Thank you so much for coming on. If you guys haven't already done so, be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out his content. The links are below in the description. The Twitter, the Instagram, all of the socials is down there. Be sure to show support and show love, just like he came here, showed support and showed some love for the channel. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the conversation. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. The raid message is there. We're going to be raiding our friend Jacob at United Spurs of America. He needs some company because being Spurs is very tough, man. Being Spurs is very Spursy. But he's good people. That's why we like him. Other than that, though, we don't like the fact that he's Spurs. I'm trying to convert him. But
too late.
Be sure, guys, copy and paste the message. Let them know where you're coming from. And we'll be back tomorrow for the Casually Chelsea show. It's been a long time. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get the show prepped tonight. We'll have a big 3-hour discussion on all types of news that I need to catch up on and give my opinion on. So 3-hour. Yeah. Javon, you're more than welcome to come on it's basically like my podcast here. So you're more than welcome to come on the Casually Chelsea show. I almost forgot the name of my damn show. But all right, big up, Javon. Thank you again, once again, for coming on. We'll definitely do this again. And big up to everyone. Y'all have a wonderful night. As always, stay casual. Peace.